Hello. I am so fresh out of bed today. I literally, well, I was in bed for a second, kind of sort of in between space. I've been going to bed so late and waking up so early. Like, going to bed between 1 and 3 or 4. I'm waking up at like 6, no matter how early or how late I go to bed. It's like I wake up at like 6 something, almost 7 o'clock. Um, Partially because I've been checking turnip prices on Animal Crossing. Partially not. I'm just like, okay. But for some reason, before I got out of bed, or when I was in between sleeps. Oh, there's that title card with the Queen of Pentacles. Um, I was thinking about Venus versus Libra for some reason. And I was like, well, maybe it's like Venus or Taurus versus Libra. I was like, maybe it's like Libra is the demanding side of Venus, and Taurus is a purely receptive side of Venus. Right. Like Libra is the side of Venus that's like, well, okay, Libra is also like a whole lot of other things, you know. But then I was also thinking about like what it means for Scorpio to be empty while Pluto is in retrograde and we have all of this stuff in Taurus. But then I'm like, oh, we're gonna have a Scorpio full moon, and the moon is gonna be facing off against a lot of energy by itself, but it's gonna be full, right? So I guess when the moon is full, it's like kind of sort of backed and supported by the sun, but the sun is also in my Taurus. So I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter how I feel about it. It's just like interesting. But since I'm thinking, I just finished the spread actually the other day. And since I'm thinking about Taurus versus Libra, especially when it comes to Venus, I don't know why Venus is on my mind. Maybe because it's about to retrograde here in a few days. Venus is about to retrograde. The nodes are about to shift. Then the moon is going to be full. And then other stuff is going to retrograde, and then we're going to have that eclipse in June. But I finished. Ooh, look, there's the sun. Bottom of the deck is the Queen of Wands. Um, what else do we have for this sign? Death. Okay. Scorpio. That's what I was talking about. Right, because I was saying, like, with the moon being full, it's like the sun is backing it. The moon is full when it opposes the sun. But when it opposes the sun, we see the most at night. Or it's the brightest at night. And so, what does that mean? Is that cooperative? Well, for the moon being what the moon is, it is. Right? Because I think when the moon is new, then it affects the tides more. I don't remember how. I know it affects the tides, but I don't know. I don't remember which is which. But maybe it's like on one cycle it's affecting the tides and the water. On the other cycle it's giving us illumination at night. So it is an illuminative opportunity. Right, what else is there? Is Mercury going to be in Gemini at that point? Let me see. Oh, Mercury's only 12 degrees Taurus. Nah, Mercury is still going to be in Taurus. So we're going to have Uranus, Mercury, and the Sun all in. The Moon is in Virgo right now, so it's actually, well, it's not trining anything right now because it's actually no, there's stuff in Capricorn. So the Moon is going to be trining Pluto here pretty soon, and then trining Jupiter before it goes into Libra. And then it'll be trining Saturn and Mars because they're still in Aquarius before it hits Taurus or Scorpio, before it hits Scorpio. So it won't quite yet be trining Neptune because Neptune is 20 degrees and the sun will probably be, that's the 5th and the 6th, which is in like, or the 7th and the 8th. Actually, I can just go there. Hello. Well, no, I don't want to do that. I could just go to the date and time where it's full and see what the planets are like, but I don't know why I'm so into astrology right now. Maybe it's because I started watching. Wait, did I actually see the Leo King in a dream last night? Was he talking about something? And I had a dream the other day that I had a few dreams where I was getting assignments. And in the first dream, I'm like, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm not even a student no more. Like, I'm not doing this assignment. And then the teacher lady was like, she said something. That dream was a whole dream, man. Anyway, and then in the assignment I got the night before last, we were like studying animals or something, and I got assigned a lion. And then it's like I feel this big old lion breathing on the back of my neck, and I'm like kind of sort of freaking out, but trying to stay calm. And then it like sticks a claw in me, like in my back, like in my lower back. I think I'm like, oh my gosh, like, oh, what is happening? Try not to freak out because ain't nobody else freaking out. And I think I was also trying to get like the attention of the teacher, like what's going on. But by the time I finally got the attention of the teacher, like the lion had just like disappeared. I was like, okay, well, that was interesting. Sometimes I do wonder, like, about past lives and stuff. Like I always do, but sometimes I'm like, because there are things that I can feel in my dream, or things that I can see in my dream that are, like, very graphic, that I've never seen or felt in this lifetime. So I'm like, how would my brain even know what to make that feel like? So I'm like, oh my gosh. Alright, anyway, I'm getting off track. And I want this to be a little shorter. I finished a spread. Excuse me. I finished a spread the night before last, but my Surface wasn't connected to the internet, so I can't pull it up on the app on my phone, so I'm going to have to go back based off of memory. I could open my Surface, but that's too much work. And I'm actually a better recorder than I am a reader. Because when I record, when I write, for some reason, I think I've said it before, it just like engages my brain in a different intuitive space, and it allows me to go like deeper, quicker, or just like deeper. I don't know, when I record, I just like, I go deeper than when I just read. But yeah, anyway, full moon gonna be opposing the sun, Mercury, and Uranus. And actually, I don't think anything is early enough in Capricorn for that to be trining anything. No, it's not. So, like broadly, energetically, well, there'll be a loose Pluto trine. Because the sun will be like what 4 more degrees, and so it'll be about 17. Mercury maybe a few more degrees as well. So we'll probably have like a loose Pluto trine with the full moon in Scorpio. But Pluto is retrograde right now. I don't know. Maybe I'll think about it later. I don't know why I've been so into astrology again. Oh wow, the Wheel of Fortune. So this full moon may be bringing a lot of stuff. Venus is the planet of worth. In a lot of ways, Venus is a planet of worth. Specifically our self-worth, because like she's Venus So, you know, she's got self-worth in spades, in abundance, and that's why she attracts that abundance, is because she knows she's worth it. And she doesn't settle for less. So that's worth when it comes to partnerships and love. It's worth when it comes to the environment and comfort and money and wealth and abundance, right? That's why we get all of that. Like, in the second house of Taurus is the house of self-worth, I guess. I wasn't going to say self-worth, but it's the house of our possessions, especially. And then seventh house, Libra, is the house of relationships. So you have this 2-7 sort of. Oh wait, they in conjunct? Really? Yeah, they do. Because Libra is right next to Scorpio. Wow. They in conjunct. I'm a Pisces Taurus, and so I actually I share in conjunctions. So, because Pisces in conjuncts, what is that? Leo and Libra, and then Taurus in conjuncts Libra and Sagittarius, because it's on the opposite sides of the opposition. So opposite of Pisces is Virgo, and then you have Leo and Libra, sandwiching Virgo. On the opposite of Taurus is Scorpio, and then you have Libra and Sagittarius. So I double in conjunct Libras. Maybe that's why. My relationship with Libras is interesting. But I love them. But with this Sun and this Death card bringing this Wheel of Fortune, I feel like this may be what really kicks off these karmic cycles. Karma being good or bad, right? Karma being the dispensing of dharma, I guess. And then what is that? Ooh, Two of Wands. I don't know why I've never really thought of the Two of Wands as a crossroad before, but there it is. Okay, I'm gonna put all this back. I'm gonna lay these out real quick. I'm gonna try to remember how I set these up. Maybe I should just like close my eyes. Alright. So for some reason I'm feeling really drawn to this Libra versus Taurus. Libra and Taurus. I don't like that versus word anymore. Libra and Taurus, right? So I'm actually only going to shuffle this once. So I'm going to try to give it a few good ones. So show me the whole gamut, the whole spectrum, because I'm not going to reshuffle. So I need y'all to put these in the order they need to be in, because I'm not going to touch these again. I'll give it 15, 2, 3, 4, and I will timestamp this. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, I was 14. Oof. I was literally just thinking, wow, I made it this whole time without anything falling out. And as soon as I thought the thought, this came out. And that's the Four of Wands. Okay, well, we're going to keep that just sitting aside. That's some kind of overall theme. Give me one moment, because I'm going to pull this up. Actually, I'll just do it. Yeah, I'll pull it up so I can have it ready to, excuse me, record this timestamp. And I am not yet using my laptop to do thumbnails, right? I'm just using my phone and this app I got on my phone for free back when this app was free. Now the app ain't free. It's called Over. And so I'm gonna, like, you know, do a little thumbnail because I guess I'm into that now. It's all about just putting in more and more and more and more effort, because still I kind of sort of personally don't care. I do enjoy the creative process, but there's a certain amount of like editing and flair that I don't necessarily feel I have to put into my videos. but I'm reaching this space. I'm being called to this space where it's time for me to put more effort into everything that I do. And so this is part of that. It's because it's time to fix that Leo in my chart. Because I need that Grand Fire trine to like be active. So that's why I'm starting to do this. There are parts, dormant parts of a birth chart, difficult parts of a birth chart that the story says can't be. I'm talking about Chiron. I don't think Chiron ever got his healing in mythology, but he's about to get it in me, so that's why I'm doing this. Time. Okay. And then I'll just put it in there later when the time comes. Alright, let me remember how this goes. And y'all might not even be able to see all these. Oh, there we go. Hey, you'll see more. 8 of Wands and the 2 of Wands are the first cards out. And there's that Wheel of Fortune again. So Death and the Sun did get separated. And then I go up here. Oh, wow. No, these are still up top. Oof, man. Should've known. This is the space of Libra, though, so it's not entirely terrible. Ooh, the Chariot. And then, let's see. Hold up. Hold up. Wait 1 second. Because I remember. Right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. But I'm like, ooh, there's that Strength card. I've been seeing that Strength card a lot. I actually love it. Oh my gosh. I didn't expect that. Left at the bottom of the deck is the 5 of Cups. So the 5 of Cups is going to be sitting next to this World card, or next to then the 8 of Cups right there. 5 and the 8. The 5 of Cups is going to be sitting next to the 4 of Wands over here on the side. But look, I love these because I confuse the Strength card for, if I'm just looking at colors, I confuse the Strength card for the Knight of Pentacles sometimes, but the Strength card has the Orca. Are these illustrated by the same person? They are not. They're not even illustrated by the same person. That's interesting. Oh, wait. They totally are. They totally are. Stanley Morrison. Shout out to Stanley. Also, these are, especially on the Knight of Pentacles side, he's Atlantean. So, right. And then we have that beautiful Strength card. Okay. So let's see. So excuse me. And like I said, especially with this reading, when it comes to all of these, honestly, to the ones that I build around the energy of the majors, I'm a much better recorder because I just like process it differently and much more deeply. So I'm gonna slow down a little bit. Oh, I wasn't even gonna timestamp. Let me see. What's the time? 1919 is what I'll say. I'm a much better recorder, so I'll do my best to try to dig and proceed. And even like when I'm writing, maybe because like when I write slower than what I think. And when I speak, I still speak slower than what I think, but when I write, I don't know, it's just different when I write. So on a certain level, I feel like these masculine energies And is this around the Venus retrograde? Around the energy of Venus right now? A good cycle versus a bad cycle? I don't know. Anyway, so on the conscious versus subconscious level, consciously it's like we're ready to move. We're all excited, we're gung ho, we're saying all these letters that we want. But subconsciously, there's this sort of like contention point. It's like we've come as far as we can together. We have the same ideals, but we want to see them sort of done in a different way. And the question is, can you make it all work? Right. So when it comes to the mind versus the heart, it's like I feel like the mind is really defensive, triumphant, but it's like it's had to fight. It's been a struggle. And it's interesting that we have the Eight of Wands and the Seven of Wands on this pillar. I just noticed that. And then we have Strength and the Wheel of Fortune over here. Now, the Hermit didn't make an appearance because that's 7, 8, and this is 8, 10. But, you know. But yeah, it's like we've been in this space. It almost feels like the mind is ready to like, it's like you've been fighting hard for everything that you want, and now it's ready to receive it without having to fight so hard. And maybe like with this Venus retrograde coming up, because this is sort of like the Libra pillar over here, and this is the Taurus pillar over here, right? And Libra is the mind, and the thought says the air sign, and this is our actual reality, right? So in our actual reality, we have the Wheel of Fortune, we have Strength, and we have this Two of Wands, where that's the sort of like the splitting point that I guess I've been talking about for a hot second, especially when it comes to this Wheel of Fortune, because the wheel turns on everyone's fortune. It could turn in a good way or it could turn in a bad way, right? And over here with this Libran side, it's the Eight of Wands, the Knight of Pentacles, and the Seven of Wands. And so I feel like with that Seven of Wands, it's like it's had to fight and it's had to be on the defensive, and it's gotten really good at it. It's now triumphant and it's not victorious, but it's like it wants to redirect those efforts towards what will actually get it to be where it wants to be. And the heart is sort of sitting in this space where it's like torn. Did I read that right the first time? If I didn't, that's how it's supposed to be read. This heart is in a space where it's like there's a little bit of conflict here, or a decision that needs to be made. Maybe it's like integrating something that you used to want with something that you still want, or finding out what you actually want. In this common sort of space between them, we have the King of Pentacles and we have the Death card. So with the Death card, that's transformation. With the King of Pentacles, that's definitely like solid foundation. And I think this may be what's kind of sort of leading to this Two of Wands conflict right here. Because it's like there may be a situation that mentally you're ready to move forward from, but emotionally you're not quite. And so I don't know if the situation is going to require a sort of confrontation. Like, I don't know if it's going to require you to be in the moment to actually receive what it is that you may or may not still want, for you to realize that, hey, like, I don't want this anymore. But the mental space is definitely just like, it's bringing the transformation to the table. It's like mentally, it's like, you know, things are not great and things need to change. And maybe emotionally with this King of Pentacles, because the King is all about the light, the King is all about exuding and expressing, right? And so maybe it's like, oh, okay, I'll take it back. I'll take that back. If that resonated, that resonated. Another way to read this would be that, like, on the emotional plane, it's like you're ready for this stability that you've been mentally building towards, but you're really ready to like feel secure. So mentally in this shared space, there's like mentally this transformation that has occurred, that has happened. Maybe you've realized some things about how some things work, and so you can be at ease and be at rest in some areas, or you can at least move forward a little bit, with a little bit more knowledge, knowing where you're going. And then emotionally, it's like you want to feel not only the love, but the security that you've been building in your sort of like mental plane. And again, like the wheel is about to turn, so lucky you may be experiencing that. Now, flanking this sort of like desire for emotional security, we have the Hangman and the Four of Swords. So that's very like, and I love the Hangman in this deck because, oof, the way the author described it was not stuck, and I was like, thank you, someone who gets it. Let me stop. But in the hands of the Hangman are both the apple of knowledge and the egg of creation. So you have the knowledge and you have all of the creative tools at your belt, right? And maybe it's taken you a while to kind of sort of like get there. And then on the other side, you have that Four of Swords piece that this person is wanting to find. It's like, I've been doing all of the things that I know I should be doing to get this stability. It's like I'm just waiting for it to come in at this point. And I'm finding peace where I am now, because the more peace I feel in my heart now, because you manifest from the heart, fun fact. I mean, you also get some conjunction from the mind, but it ultimately comes from the heart. It's almost like, the mind is the battery and the heart is the heart transceiver, but I don't know how that works. It's like the heart has like ultimate say, because how you feel about something ultimately depends on what you get when, but it's like your mind is also important, because that's what puts it out. They work together, but the mind does more of one thing and the heart does more of another. And when it comes to the heart, the space that you feel when you're asking is important, not, and it's less important than what you're asking for. Right. And so you have this person who's cultivated this knowledge and awareness, who's been doing this work on the inside, maybe not yet seen on the outside. That's why we go from the Hangman to the King of Pentacles down here, because now it's like actually becoming your experience. And then, like I said, you're cultivating this peace on the inside, because you know that these two together is what's going to lead you here. Now, flanking this mental space that's apexed by death. Oh my gosh, the Ace of Cups. When I did this the first night, the Ace of Cups was literally in this exact same spot. Flanking the mind. We have this Ace of Cups, and then we have this Ten of Swords, leading to this transformation. And death is facing this Ten of Swords with this Ace of Cups at its back. And so I feel like someone was like, you know what, enough is enough. The moon over here, this in this card, the Ten of Swords, form this halo around the moon. This is her sort of like, in this Ten of Swords, because I've read it a few times, I've gotten it a few times, it says like her internal conflict is sort of manifesting itself. Her body is separated from her head because she's living her life as these two sort of different entities, and that could be the separation between the heart and the mind, not living what it is that intuitively you know you should be doing, or having a certain emotional disconnection or mental disconnection because you've never been able to get the two to kind of sort of align before. But now you have this Ace of Cups that's almost sort of like bridging this gap. It's like you're going to be feeling enough with the Ace of Cups. It's like it's going to be putting enough love into this heart to begin to not only heal all of this, but then to get the tendons and ligaments, arteries and veins and all of the anatomy to connect up from to this head, and to get it to be like one entity again. Right? So that's why you have this Death card on the mental plane, but this King of Pentacles with all, like, I feel like the heart, the emotional plane is like kind of sort of surprisingly chill, especially since it has this Two of Wands. But this is also the feminine side, right? And the feminine side is the side that we desire with. The masculine side is the side that we kind of sort of like plan our way to get there. And so it's like the desire is definitely there. But maybe the plans that we had in the past didn't always work. And because our plans in the past didn't work, that's what's putting our heart in this like Two of Wands space, where it's like, yeah, but like, can we actually get it? Oh, hold on, wait, did I read this right? I don't think I did. I think that's still like relevant. I'm not gonna say I read it wrong, because again, I don't have it pulled up, so I'm going off of memory, right? I literally just built it like 2 days ago. So conscious versus subconscious. So like subconsciously, we're at this deciding point. Okay, yeah. And then the heart is at this wheel of fortune, which makes more sense because that's the turning. So the mind is at the Seven of Wands where it's been, and again, you can see how sort of like resilient it's been. The Seven of Wands, now resiliency. I said defensive at first, but it is honestly more resilient. But it's still wanting a sort of break and not wanting to have to fight so hard. Right? It's wanting to give up one of these wands to get to the Six of Wands where it's just like straight up victory and chilling and like, doing what it should be doing in conjunction with what it should be doing in conjunction with. And so then we have this Wheel of Fortune in the space of the heart. And that's where we have like, like I said, we're cultivating this piece on the outside to bring it into our actual reality, and that it's going to begin to turn. Either that or it's the opposite. Like you've been sowing seeds of discord. And I just finished Teen Wolf, right? And in one of the seasons, they have this monster that sows seeds of discord. Very Eris vibes, but like times 10 or 100, honestly, or even more. And so if you've been sowing seeds of discord, or if you've been like mostly in that space of discord and that's where you've been chilling, that's where you sort of like taking your nap, your Rip Van Winkle, then that's the direction that it's going to be turning in. Right. And I feel like subconsciously we're kind of sort of at this Two of Wands point, because depending on how far you've gone, and maybe even not depending on how far you've gone, but it's like we're becoming more consciously aware of our subconscious, and so now we're sort of coming in, we're influencing things a little bit, because now we have this more co-creative ability with it. And so what our subconscious truly desires on a soul level versus what we subconsciously desire on a more incarnation level may form this point of conflict, but it's up to us to honestly to kind of sort of get aligned with this one to move forward, right? Okay, yeah. I just looked at that. I was like, wait, I didn't read that right up there. I didn't read that Wheel of Fortune right. I don't think I read the Wheel of Fortune at all. I think I just mentioned it. And I think I did originally call this the subconscious. But then I started talking about the pillars in the mind, and I never mentioned that was the space of the heart. So I didn't necessarily do that completely wrong. So that's what's flanking this. We have this Death card facing this Ten of Swords, bringing this peace, causing this transformation that first needs to start with this healing and this integration and this bridging between the head and the body. And the head and the body could be like the instinctual and the intuitional, like the more primal, more primitive, and the more like integrating the man and the beast, is what I said, or what it's kind of sort of easier to say, all of that stuff. And I feel like this is what's like really taking you out of survival mode with that Seven of Wands. And it all stems from this Ace of Cups back here that really led to this transformation. And again, this is like the masculine side of Venus, right? That's the Libran side, which is all about demanding. And with the demands, it's like I said, like that's the air, that's the mental part of it. So that's what you speak, and that's the kind of sort of mental space that you occupy. I think for a long time, there's this energy of like settling over here, or allowing your situations to determine and dictate your worth, instead of like what you know to be true on the inside, right? Because Venus is Venus no matter where she goes. Like, it doesn't matter if she goes to Walmart or Trader Joe's or Costco or the dollar store. Like, her standards are the same. And so her environment doesn't determine and dictate what she gets. If she doesn't like the environment she's in, she leaves. If no one appreciates her in the environment that she's in, then those people don't have taste. Those people don't have class. It's nothing wrong with her. It's like if you go into a store and they don't carry a product or a brand, and it's not even necessarily anything wrong with the store. It's just like, that's the lineup. That's the line of products I shop for. If you don't carry it, the store isn't for me. Plain and simple. It's all about self-worth and not comparative worth. Ooh, yes. It's self-worth, not comparative worth. And a lot of people have these senses of self that are very comparative, and that's why they need to feel better than other people, and that's why they need to put other people down to get them to feel some certain type of way. Like, why do you so viscerally need to be better than somebody else to know that you are who you are? And then kind of saying in this in between on the gift of, so the gift of the mental side is this Two of Swords, and the challenge is this Chariot. When it comes, the challenge from the heart is the Chariot, right? So that's like when the heart wants to move, the brain has been in the way, sort of like overthinking it. And it's interesting that we have the Two of Swords and the Chariot here, because the Chariot is all about putting two naturally opposing or naturally disharmonious. What's the word I'm looking for? Disharmonious fits, but I'll just say disharmonious because I'm not gonna think too hard about it. But it's disharmonious in the way that they just like naturally don't line up and go in the same direction. Like they don't have to be extremely opposing, but they're just not on the same page, right? And so the gift has actually been the fact that they're not on the same page, because it gets us to come into this space to mentally recognize that and to correct it within ourselves, to really give us this chariot forward moving gift. And then the gift from the masculine side is this Two of Pentacles. No, this is the feminine, I'm sorry. The gift from the masculine side is this Queen of Wands. And the challenge from the heart is this Two of Pentacles. And look, we see this Two of Pentacles as the challenge from the heart. We see this Two of Wands as the subconscious sort of overall energy of like choice. Right, but over here in this deck, it's actually like it's like with this Two of Pentacles, it's like turning lose-lose and lose wins and win-loses into win-win situations because of because it's like Venus, and this is the this is the Taurian side. Going across like this is the Taurian, going up and down is the Libran. But it's like like I said about Venus's self-worth. If she walks into a store and they don't carry her brand, like she doesn't make a scene, she just leaves. And so it's juggling, but it isn't really juggling, if you know what I mean. It takes all of the stress out of it, I guess. And it makes things more enjoyable. Right? And maybe Venus will be like feeling like, oh, maybe I'll try something new today, you know? And then she'll be like, oh, well, that didn't work, never gonna try that again. But, you know, now I know. I feel like there's just like this, I feel like stereotypically Venus energy can be kind of sort of felt as like really stuck up and snobby, but I don't think it's necessarily that. I feel like, at least how I'm feeling it in this reading, she'd just be like, oh my gosh, like this is terrible. I'm never gonna try this again. Man, I had a feeling I should have went with the other brand. I just wish they would have carried mine in the store, but you know, it is what it is. It's only this, it'll heal. Or it's only this, I can wash it off, or I can wipe it off, or, you know, it'll pass through my body. And then I'll get to eat what I actually want. But it's just like this very like lackadaisical. What's that word? Lackadaisical type of energy. Just like, oh well, you know. And it's like no need to like go in and complain. You ain't gotta leave no bad Yelp reviews or nothing like that. Because I feel like it's also like, because since it is sort of the energy of worth in and of itself, it knows that this is worth something to someone. It's just not worth anything to her. Or it knows that this is something that's worth something to her, even though it's not worth something to someone else. Right? That's what this kind of sort of energy is. Like, oh, this isn't for me, that's not for me. Okay, like I don't have to get bitter and mean and nasty about it. It's just not for me. And that's the gift. That, hold up, Yeah, I'm just gonna run with it this time because I'm like, wait, did I flip this? I don't think I did. No, I didn't. Because I do these first. Gift, challenge, challenge, gift. So yeah, I did that right. And then again, the challenge is Queen of Wands, right? And so I feel like mentally comes in this element of kind of sort of like pride, where you wouldn't necessarily have it emotionally, because I feel like emotionally you're able to sort of understand, you're able to tap into that understanding, like different strokes for different folks, different people like different things. But then mentally comes in this kind of sort of egotistical energy, honestly, where it's like, oh, this is terrible. This is not what I wanted. That's when Venus kind of sort of slips into her shadow and she gets a little nasty. But she's not like nasty and snippy in a Queen of Swords way. She's just nasty in a Queen of Wands way, where it's like, I feel the Queen of Wands is more aesthetic than the Queen of Swords, right? Because that's kind of sort of Wands energy. Wands energy is about the appearance, if we go off of fire, and then Swords energy is about the logic and the thought and what was said. Yeah, like Swords is like what was said. Wands is like what it looked like, and so the challenge mentally is like getting beyond the appearance of things, right? And ultimately, this is the gift of over here being decisive and learning how to create harmony in situations where there isn't harmony, right? And it's funny that Libra being cardinal air, when it's in excess, it can be that martyr energy. But with Libra being that cardinal air, being the most emotionally sort of intelligent air sign, or the most, kind of sort of the most emotionally intelligent non water sign, I feel like Leo can be emotionally intelligent, low key. And I feel like Leo can do that because, like, when Leo is in positive, higher vibe, it's like Leo likes to feel good and Leo likes for other people to feel good. And I feel like Leo has a sort of knack of, like, making everyone feel inclusive and making everyone feel welcome, right? And so there is a certain emotional intelligence there as well. But that's a more like expressive emotional intelligence. I feel like Libra could be more like cerebral, right? And I keep saying like cerebral, but it's like I feel like with Libra, I feel like Libra could be more the energy of like I'm saying the right things, and then Leo is like I'm expressing the right things, right? So like the way Leo says it may be a little crude, but I feel like Leo would sit there with you and would chill with you. Like Leo doesn't like to feel down really, and so like you probably don't want to feel too down too often. But if it's a Leo that really really cares about you, and if they know that that's something about you and they accept that about you, then they'll sit with you, right? But Libra is like won't necessarily show it, or it may not necessarily be super warm, but it's like they'll know what to say and they'll say it. Even, or they'll think that they'll know what to say and they'll say it. And sometimes it's like, yeah, you said the right thing, but without a sort of like recognition of the fact that, sometimes we need to sit in these spaces and we need to feel the grief before we're ready for the solution, before we just move on. Because that's the logic, right? Logic doesn't always translate to emotions. Um, but Libra is kind of sort of like and Libra is also known to be a little indecisive. Apparently, from all of the zodiac videos on the internet, Libra is indecisive. And I feel like that indecisiveness is bringing you to a space where you can balance out these two different things, where you can play that Libran harmonious, creating and establishing those, at least the bridge, right? At least establishing the bridge of connection in between two different forces. Right, that's the gift. But this challenge is like with the heart, it's like just wanting to move forward. And I feel like the heart isn't necessarily as good as understanding. Not always as readily able to understand the mind as the mind is the heart. But I just like that the Two of Swords came out here, and it's all about creating this balance sort of in between the two with this chariot so that they can move forward together. And I'm like, oh, that's a very Libra-like quality, right? Creating balance. That's why they rule, like, the legal system, right? And the justice system, like justice. Um, and then over here, it's like the gift of Taurus is just like, you know, just because the grass ain't greener don't mean that you gotta like yell at the grass, right? I feel like a cow would just move to where the grass is better, right? But necessarily cause a scene. But that like more cerebral Libran energy may be the energy of like, I need everyone to know how terrible this is. And the cow's just like, I'm just gonna go mind my business. Um, and so with the overall energy, the way I built this is interesting because it's like everything is kind of sort of like in its own space, but at the end is where they sort of cross over, right? And I'm not gonna get into like all of the sort of like geometry, and I don't even think I necessarily went too deep into the numerology this time, but it still pretty much ended up working out. This one honestly was more geometrically focused because the shape of it looked right, even though the number of cards was like one too many. And it was kind of bothering me at first. And I tried to come up with a few different layouts of how I could like shape this. But I was like, the geometry of this is right. And so this is just going to be one where the numerology is like, it goes beyond it goes beyond the number count this time. And not that it's always based on the number count, but I try to be more intentional with like where I put the cards and how I number them. Right. I try to build this with a lot of intention, so then I don't have to put the intention in on the back end when I'm actually pulling the cards. It's like I do the intention up front because I'll forget the intention if I don't write it down, honestly. That's just how my brain works. But on this sort of like, on the side where we move forward on the outside, we have this strength card. So that's us saying that, with all of this internal sort of alchemy that we've been doing, with all of this healing that we've been doing, with all of these spaces that we've been coming out of, these traumas that we're coming out of, these cycles that we're closing, it's time for us to not betray that hard work by slipping back into those cycles. And it's time for us to not betray our hopes and our dreams by not claiming them, right? And it's time to move forward. On the sort of receptive side, oh, I actually love that this Knight of Pentacles is here now, because the Knight of Pentacles is Virgo energy, and Mercury is in Taurus right now. So shout out to Mercury and Taurus. We ain't got nothing in Virgo. Well, the moon is in Virgo right now, so we got Mercury and Taurus and the moon in Virgo. So there you go, Knight of Pentacles. Ooh, she's turning 30. Or wait, yeah, she's turning 30. Oh my gosh. I used to be so afraid of turning 30 until like last year. Now I'm like, okay, I'm actually ready to live my life now. I'm still not where I thought I would be, but honestly, I'm not where I thought I would be, because if I get real honest, I'm just going to say I didn't think I would be here at 27 years old. I thought 25 was going to be it for me, but 25 was the beginning. And so I was kind of sort of right. Definitely huge transformational energies, The card ain't always what the name means. Not to like, don't think too deep into it if it disturbs you. But on the receptive side, we have this Knight of Pentacles. And I feel like the Knight of Pentacles is very resourceful. It takes what it has and it does everything. But I'm honestly, in the context of this reading, feeling the Knight of Pentacles as moving forward and claiming everything that it is that you've been putting in the work to manifest, right? And it's called me to this Wheel of Fortune. And it's moving forward. Okay, yeah, that's how I do that. So I read this right. Because like I said, I have geometry all over this thing. And I just love how it works That's why I did this. Like when I finished writing this spread up, I was like, oh, I don't know if this is gonna work. But when I did it, I was like, okay, she works. I thought I was off. And yeah, the process would have been easier if I had access to other creative forces, I'll say. But I can still do it. um, Not easier, just different. Um, but yeah, this is the space of like, this honestly is giving me the strength energy. Like the strength energy, this is the strength on the outside. This is the strength to externalize that foundation that you've of peace that you've been sort of building. That's the strength to really establish this kind of sort of to put yourself in this King of Pentacles state. And it's not necessarily King of Pentacles in the way that like you're working this job that makes you buku bucks, like you making mega moolah, like you making like dumpsters full of ducats, like you know what I mean. It ain't all about making mountains of money, but it's about the worth and the stability and the peace and the calm and the foundation that you build within yourself that you then build and grow off of. And so all of that will come, but that's not what it's about. It's a part of it, but it's not like the central focus, because central focus is you being in this sort of rock steady space. And this is having the strength to move forward, the strength to, like, when people look at you, they see that you're unshakable. When people try to rattle you, when situations try to rattle you, you don't budge, you don't move, because your foundation is solid, right? You're built upon the rock of stone. And then over here, whereas we had this sort of conflict energy, and whereas we have this sort of like Ace of Cups, Ten of Swords transformation, this is about you internally receiving. And it's like as you get things, you keep moving forward, because this wheel is turning, right? And it's about leaving the indecision behind. And again, that was the gift from, and it's like this is the Libran, like this is the Libran column right here, and this is the gift from Libra, is that Two of Swords. The challenge from Libra is the Queen of Wands, right? And so maybe it's like this may be a little slower than you had planned. And I feel like the challenge mentally would be like sticking with it sometimes, because you may come into the space where you're questioning it. Like, does this really work? If this really worked, like I would have this and I would have that, because maybe you then start to compare yourself to other people, right? You start to slip into comparative worth instead of self-worth, but it's all about self-worth. And so, like, you're moving forward with this Knight of Pentacles. You're receiving and receptive with the Knight of Pentacles, and you're also building, right? It's like you're kind of sort of doing all three. You're like a tour de... What is that? It's not Tour de Force, is it? Because I know Tour de France is like the bike. What is that? Tour de Force? A Tour de Force? You're a force to be reckoned with when you have all three. And this is saying you have all three, and you have this strength. And I love this kind of sort of mirroring that they do there. Lots of twos here. The Wheel of Fortune is here. Death is here, and the Hangman is here. So, you know, this is lots of like sort of decisions that you're going to have to be making. The foundation, like, not even honestly, like the decision is like sticking to the foundation that you've already built for yourself. And like if that's what you've been doing, that's what you've been doing. But it's to keep that in mind when you're kind of sort of moving forward, and when everything begins to happen, stay humble. Like, you ain't necessarily got to be like discredit yourself, or you don't have to talk yourself, you don't have to play small all of the work that you did. But it is for you to stay humble and for you to not get egotistical, because again, the challenge right here is the Queen of Wands, and this as a challenge could be this in reverse, right? So you're not going to get too full of yourself, right? Not to go to excess, because there's also a lot of balance here, especially with the two of, like, the gift is the balance with the two of Pentacles here, crossing this, you know, ego. Because just as quickly as you gain everything, you can lose it. The Wheel of Fortune is always turning, and it will continue to turn even after you get your fortune. And you want the wheel to turn in a way that it keeps you building, in the way to ensure, or one of the few ways that you can ensure that you stay on top of this wheel, is to make sure you're staying in this space that you're supposed to be in, right? But yeah, and again, so we have the Four of Wands and the Five of Cups at the bottom of the deck. And I feel like this is saying, like, I feel like this is just the final reminder to choose what you want to focus on and choose wisely. Because where you give your time, energy, effort, and mind is sort of like where you build and where you grow. It's the direction that it's like a flower or a plant, right? Because they always grow in the direction of the sun. And so the area that you choose to focus on, the light that you, or absence of, but the light that you choose to grow towards, that's going to be like what you get out of it. And it's also saying that you need to really bring your mental and your emotional and all of yourselves onto the same page, because if they're not all on the same page, like even like this is a 3 and a 2, right? This is weighted heavier on the 3 side, and that's where you're stuck, right? So that could also be the energy of like, you know, sticking to it, even if things don't start to turn as quickly as you like. It's to stick to it if you want this celebration. That's why I'm gonna end this. I hope everyone has a good whatever whenever you see this. I guess that's like my closing line now. Oh wait, I'm gonna take this picture. Oh snap! Somebody just started a Libra video. I woke up thinking about the energy of Libra, and there it is. I feel like maybe that's confirmation that I didn't completely mess this up. Boom. All right, yeah, and since I typically, I don't know if I'm gonna get. Anyway, I don't need to say all that. All right, bye.